What's going on, everybody? We got to talk a little bit of college football. Now, it feels like a minute since I've actually gotten a chance to hear to talk about the Sun Devils, but despite the kind of lofty expectations that this team had, you make the playoffs last year and kind of the disappointment that the up and down play that they had, all of a sudden you look up and they're still having a pretty good season to this point at 7-3. They got a game against a Colorado team that has been sputtering coming up next. And then you got Arizona to finish out the regular season, and you have a real shot of being 9-3 on a year where, you lost a running back to being a guy that was a starter in the NFL, a guy that was a Heisman candidate. You lost your this year Heisman candidate quarterback, and you're still in this position. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible run here by the Sun Devils, which now makes for a very interesting point and like one that has been on my mind a lot right now. So there is new odds out as to who the next head coach of LSU is going to be. And leading the way is Kenny Dillingham, which would be quite devastating for the Sun Devils if they were to lose him. Problem is, you start looking at everything that they got going on over there, and it is a substantial amount of money that they can offer somebody. He's at plus 300. Nick Saban maybe coming out of retirement at plus 400. Then it's Joe Brady, Lane Kiffin, a few other guys. But here's the thing. So I really was going over this a lot this morning in my head, and I kind of went back over the stats, and it was like, am I just kind of imagining this? There's an argument to be made that what Dillingham has done this year is more impressive than what they did last year. Now, I don't think you win that argument, but there's an argument to be made. They were grossly undervalued at the start of last year, and kind of people just did not rate them properly, thinking that they were going to finish last in the Big 12, and then obviously they go on that magical run and make it all the way to the college football playoffs. They win the Big 12 title in kind of resounding fashion over Iowa State. But like I said, Scadaboo ended up being a top 5 player in college football and a guy that had a legitimate, argument to be the Heisman winner. You had one of the best players in college football. You had Sam Leavitt, who evolved into being a dual threat, amazing guy. And then you also had this magic that was just happening with the team. Now, there's something to be said to being picked to finish dead last and making the college football playoffs, to make a run that was like historic like that. And then to have probably deserved to have won the game against Texas and, make it into the next round of the college football playoffs. It was an incredible run. But again, looking at this year, right now they have 3 losses. They finished last year with 3 losses total. So they have one more at this point in the season than what they had last year. But Kenny Dillingham has done this now with a target on this team's back, with everyone knowing that they had made the college football playoffs last year. Last year, no one expected anything of them, and it just this growing momentum. They walked in day one, and they were going to get everyone's best punch. So that's one thing. 2, you lost, like I said, Cam Scadaboo. You lost one of the most dynamic players in college football, a guy that is the only player to be named the most valuable player in the bowl game on a losing team. He was incredible in college. As good as he was for the Giants before he got hurt, he was infinitely better for Arizona State, and I don't got to tell Sun Devils fans that. They know it after they watched it. Then you redesign the entire offense, the entire team to be around Sam Leavitt and that skill set, because you no longer have an NFL running back. you have some good running backs, some decent college running backs, but you don't have an NFL running back. You have Jordan Tyson, top 3 wideout in all of college football, and you have a dual threat quarterback that is electric when he gets it going. You lose him, so now you're on to your backup quarterback without an NFL quality running back anymore, and yet you are still finding ways to win games and string together a win at Iowa State, monstrous win there, a win at West Virginia. They keep winning gut check close games. A win against Texas Tech that they were huge underdogs in that one. A win against TCU that was ranked at the time. Like, they have put together close games, finding ways to win these games all season long, other than the Mississippi State game, which they gave that one away. But you lose to a Houston team who's now ranked and it is very good. Obviously, Utah is very, very good, and that game was at Utah with a backup quarterback. So the thing that he's been able to do this patchwork and still find ways of gutting out wins with this team is awesome. And it's an incredible coaching job. Now, and even some of those games, even Jordan Tyson was out, your most dynamic playmaker on either side of the ball right now. He's got talent on this roster. He's kind of developed it in an impressive fashion in such a short term. But if LSU comes calling, he's got to take that from him. I know he loves ASU. I know that's his home, but we're talking about LSU. Right now, Kenny Dillingham is making $5.8 a year at ASU. Brian Kelly, who they just fired, was making $9.5 million. Dillingham will get around $10 million to go there. So you're talking about $4 million more a year, probably. I don't know about you, but if I was going to get a pay raise of $4 million, even if it's a place, if I was in my hometown, but I was going to get $4 million more to go somewhere else, we go have a conversation. That's going to be real hard to say no. And you know what else happens if he goes to LSU? He doesn't have to petition and beg to get an indoor practice facility. Their donors, if he wanted a new one, would sign off on it and make it happen. He doesn't have to go around town and ask businesses to subscribe to help the football team and kind of help with this NIL bills and everything else, like he has had to at ASU. LSU is going to have no problem with that. The facilities there are incredible. Death Valley continues to be probably the best sports venue in college football. A night game at Death Valley is unreal. I've been there. I've covered a game when they played Auburn at night. It is a different energy in that stadium. It is the entire town. And recruits, if you want to talk about going out and getting guys, showing them that school, that facility, these kids are going to remember Joe Burrow and that offense and that team that won a national title. He can point to the success and the history of LSU and put together more than just a playoff quality team, but a championship level team in a season. And with the way that the portal works now in a heartbeat, has he reached his limit? If he's honest with himself about what you can do with ASU right now, maybe get him to the second round if things go your way. But is he close to the limit of the ceiling about what this program can realistically do? Maybe. It's worth stating maybe. Does he want to go back to the SEC? Obviously has some ties. And the other half of it is, and this is the dirty part of college football right now, is that, there's the report that Sam Leavitt was actively shopping and looking at, not coming back to ASU. He was going to look at where he can get the most money. Now his brother immediately came out and said, that report by On3 was a joke, and then it's not something that he's doing. He could have had a chance of doing that last year. He came back and everything. But I don't know if he's so much committed to ASU as he is to Kenny Dillingham. These players love playing for him and his moxie and the way that he kind of galvanizes his team and the way that they are united behind him. If he took the LSU job, is there a non-zero chance that Levitt would want to leave with him and go play there? Is there a non-zero chance that he says, hey, by the way, I can give you $2 million to come to LSU next year for one more season, and let's see what we can do with it. In the SEC, you want to better your draft stock because all of a sudden, I don't know if you looked at draft boards, but after kind of the hot and cold season that Levitt had, and after getting hurt, he's now projected as a day 3 guy, early day 3, but you're talking 4th, 5th round, somewhere around there. It's a lot less money. You're not making $3 million. You're not making $2 million in that slot. You can come back to college one more year, make that much more money, and see if you can hop up on that draft board back into the first round. I don't know if he does it, but LSU is a top 10 job, arguably a top 5 job in the country for a reason. They just paid Brian Kelly a crazy amount of money to just go away. And all he did was win 8, 9 games, a year, somewhere around there. I mean, a lot of his things were actually decent seasons and had some good teams, but never quite great. That is the standard there. I don't know. He is such an ASU guy through and through, and he wants it to work there so bad, and he's having some success. But I mean, $10 million is $10 million. And if they're going to offer him that to go there, to coach at a top 10 program and just roll out the red carpet, I guess there's a reason he is the favorite to be the next head coach at LSU. And that would be a devastating moment for Arizona State. I think if that did happen, ASU fans should thank him for the time that he had and understand kind of what it is. But he did get the program from irrelevancy, really, to the national limelight and shine a light on everything that the Sun Devils are for the last few years. Helped raise the money to get all of these new facilities and all the stuff that's going on, and really built that program into a little bit of a national brand, a little bit on the cusp of being that, kind of really moving forward. I think his heart will say, I want to stay with ASU. I want to take this all the way and see how far I can get this program, and this is my school. But $10 million is $10 million. And if he wants to win a championship sooner rather than later, if he wants to really kind of, if that's his goal, if his goal is to see how he could do coaching at the highest level, it's probably at LSU. If his goal is, I want to make my school, my hometown, my program the best it can be, he's going to stay at ASU. But it's going to be a little bit of a head versus heart few weeks. And a lot of ASU people should be holding their breath because it would hurt to see him go. But at the same time, if you're being honest with yourself, you'd have to totally understand it because it is LSU and it is ASU. I don't know yet, but it is going to be something very interesting to watch. If he gets this team, like I said, to 9-3, possibility of making it back into the Big 12 title game. I mean, they'd have to have a lot of things fall their way. But if he does that, there's going to be more than LSU calling. But that'll be the biggest hook out there. And we're going to have to wait and see how this season finishes out. But if he can get this team with a backup quarterback and no NFL Heisman contending running back on the roster anymore, to the playoffs, to a Big 12 title game, to 9-3, even if they don't make it there, to either of those, even in a down Big 12, incredible coaching job. Again, I don't think you can win the argument that this season was better than last season, but the simple fact that there is an argument shows he is a great coach. Which makes it that much more painful at the prospect that ASU could very realistically lose him this offseason. Let me know what y'all think.